Welcome to the show. It's What's Your Story? I am Catherine Mwangi here at the residence of the German ambassador to Kenya, His Excellency Sebastian Groff. The man, the mandate, the mission is what we have to talk about today. Of course, the partnerships between Germany and Kenya. Something else I have to tell you. He is a diplomat who loves music. From as young as 8 years old, he's been playing the piano. Specifically, jazz music is his passion. So let's see whether we can just talk to him a little bit nicely to see whether he can play something for us. Who knows? It may be a lucky day, but just come with me. Hello.
Good morning, Catherine.
How are you, sir?
Very fine, Asante.
It is good to meet you. So, Diplo Jazz.
Yes.
Yes. So, diplomat, jazz, music.
Yes.
So, are you going to play us something?
Okay.
Yeah?
We
It's
can,
a yes?
we can try,
Oh.
but we will see what happens.
No, but you're so gifted in music.
Yeah.
So,
We're trying.
We're trying.
Yeah,
Okay. So, it's a yes?
Yes, it's a
Perfect.
yes.
I'm looking
Okay.
forward to it.
Thank you very much.
Let's do it then.
Okay.
Let's do it. After you.
So, karibu.
Asante.
Nyumbani rasmi kwangu.
Asante Balozi. Nice. What are we playing?
You choose.
You want me to choose?
Yeah.
Let's see. Malaika?
We try.
We try? Malaika, nakupenda malaika, nami nifanyeje, kijana mwenzio, nashindwa na mali sina we, ngekuwa wa malaika. So, Your Excellency, you're ready for our conversation now?
Yes, of course.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So let us get a move along and go to our set, eh?
Okay.
Wonderful. Okay, so here we are, Balozi. Beautiful space again.
Thank you very much.
See lots of artwork.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So this is now, we are officially on for What's Your Story?
Yeah. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming.
Well, thanks for inviting us.
Yeah.
We love it. So let's first start with, we just saw you play and me attempting to sing, a really bad attempt at singing.
No, it was perfect.
But your passion for music, where did that start?
Well, I think it's somehow already within my family. So my father's playing the double bass, my mother played piano, my sister is playing flutes and also piano. So from the very early childhood, I was a part of this family orchestra somehow, and started with piano lessons at the age of 8 and took it on until 18, and then started playing in different bands. I also played in church for quite a while, and then then I deviated more and more to the jazz section of music. Yeah.
I see. So, and with the playing, there was no singing?
No, unfortunately not. I mean, I love singing under the shower, or I don't know if I'm in the mood, but it's not for the public, I think.
No,
No.
not for the I see that. So were you gathering, around the fire back home as a family, because you come from a musical family, just playing, singing, did you have such evenings?
Yes, a lot of them, yeah. My father is now 81, but he's still playing the double bass, and he was the one who brought me also to jazz.
Right.
And I was in Germany in February, so I played with him, and my sister, I have a sister, she's 4 years older than me, she has 3 kids, and all of them are very much into music, and the son is playing the drums quite professionally. I also want to invite him once to Nairobi,
Yeah.
and he came over from Frankfurt, and we had a good jam session in the house of my father then. So 3 generations basically doing jazz music together.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was fun.
Amazing. Okay, and on Twitter you call yourself Diplo Jazz.
Yeah.
So there must be a connection between diplomacy and jazz.
Yeah.
What is that?
I think there are several parallels at least.
Okay.
I mean, there's this famous quote of Richard Holbrooke who said that diplomacy is like jazz. It's the variations on the same theme, and that's a little bit like jazz. But I think even more, jazz is about communication. So it's creating music on the spot. You normally start with a melody, and everybody knows the melody and also the chords. But then you go out of it and start improvising. And it's all about communication and getting the signals from the other musicians. And that's a little bit like diplomacy, because you have to get the signals from the society, from the politics that you're working with and working in, and then trying to make the best out of it and coming to a good result altogether. So it's also about teamwork.
Oh, wow. So, wow. So you found synchrony.
Absolutely.
With what you love to do, your passion for music, and what you're doing now at an official level.
Yes.
Representing Kenya, Somalia, and Seychelles.
Exactly, yeah.
And also the PAM rep for UNEP and UN Habitat.
Exactly,
yes.
yeah.
So you have, those are 3 nations and those are 2 bodies.
Yeah.
Where do you find the time?
No, that's really a challenge. And I would say that for the time being, 70% of my work is going towards the bilateral relations with Kenya.
Okay.
Somalia is also taking quite some time. It needs some traveling here and there, and it always takes at least 2 days normally. But also UNEP and Habitat is a very interesting multilateral aspect of work. So there we have meetings on the ambassador's level, not so regularly, but sometimes I go there. Unfortunately, Seychelles so far was not the main task of my work here, but I will present my credentials in June, and then I also hope to put some work into our bilateral relations with the Seychelles.
Yeah. So what people will find intriguing with your story is that you actually were in Kenya 20 years ago. You know, and 2 decades later, you're here again at the highest position as ambassador. But when you're here 20 years ago, what was your role?
I was then the press and cultural attaché for the embassy, but also dealing with a lot of the regional crises, Somalia and Sudan, because both peace processes at this time took place or were negotiated in Nairobi and in Naivasha. But I also liked the work as press and cultural attaché very much. I met a number of your colleagues that I'm meeting again now after 20 years, both from the cultural and from the media scene. And it's fascinating to just reconvene and reconnect.
Yes. So between then and now, what have you seen is different here in Kenya?
I think it really developed a lot, the country. The infrastructure, the economic, the IT sector, for example, mobile connections. I would also say things that you can do as a tourist that developed. Fortunately, also some things remained stable. The kindness of the people, the beauty of the country, also the stability of the country. I would say what I observe in these 20 years is a big leap forward, and I really wish that it goes along in this direction. And I'm here to also offer the German partnership to help to move into this direction.
Yes. And speaking of partnerships, thank you for going there, because I was actually going there. Germany is a very strong partner to this country, to Kenya, you know, for the last 6 decades. And you are in almost everything: trade, renewable energy, climate change, and now drought, TVET, you know, agriculture, education, infrastructure. So your predecessors who occupied your position now, they did lots of work, obviously, towards making those things happen. You coming in as ambassador, that was August last year, right? And what are you hoping to build on, in addition to what your predecessors did?
It's to continue their work, of course, on the one hand side, but also trying to lift it onto the next level. You know, the last 6 decades, I think, and especially the beginning of the partnership, was and is very much characterized by a development partnership. So we are, as you said, an important development partner, engaged in the country for decades now. GIZ, KfW, and other organizations playing a very important role in the different sectors that you mentioned. But I think now it's also time to look for real political cooperation. Kenya is a very active player on the multilateral scene. Has had a seat in the Security Council for 2 years. Actually, they partly took over our seat because we left in 21 and they took over a seat in 21. So there were also some dossiers that we somehow handed over to them, and Kenya continued to work on it, like climate and security, a very important issue in this region here. But we are also cooperating now more and more in the cyber field, for example, because the UN Secretary General wants to put cyber on the spot and in the focus of his work and his program that he calls Our Common Agenda, a very big event that will happen in 2024. And Germany and Kenya are preparing together one segment of this cyber resolution that will be agreed upon next year. And there are several other things, as you mentioned, like climate. We agreed on a climate and development partnership at COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh. And we would like to support Kenya, which is already a world leader in renewables, to go towards 100%. We want to help to extend the grid also. We want to help to develop a green hydrogen sector in the country. So there's lots and lots of things to do together.
Wow. So when you came in August last year, we didn't have drought, okay? So it was not like part of your agenda, like as Germany. And then this year, you know, we've just, it's like we woke up to this bad dream, like, you know, delayed rains. And we saw the diplomatic community rally to just, you know, help Kenya in that sector. And your country, Germany, was one, I think, in the top three.
Top two.
Yes. So, you know, you just checked in. So my question would be, so when something like that happens that you hadn't planned for, how do you go about that process?
What we did as an embassy, but not only here in Kenya, but also our colleagues in Ethiopia, in Sudan, partly in Tanzania, we just informed our capital about the predictions with regard to the weather patterns, and then also about the situation on the ground, that we had a lot of refugees already, that we had, you know, the people are put into categories according to the supply of food and water, and you have different, it's called IPC categories, and we reported just that the figures are getting worse and worse, and that we have to do something. And also we are in close contact with the international organizations like WFP, UNHCR, or International Red Cross. And then, of course, the Kenyan government also came to us and asked for help, but not only Kenya, also Somalia and Ethiopia. And what Germany is doing is channeling its money through the multilateral organizations like WFP and UNHCR, and they then distribute it within the region. So they have a Horn of Africa, Eastern Africa program, and we are very happy that Kenya is one of the main beneficiaries. But we think it is a regional challenge, a regional crisis also, and it's not only that we miss the 5th or the 6th or the 7th rainy season. It's a structural challenge because the rain patterns, I think, will change definitely, and the life model of the pastoralists is under threat. And we have to think together with Kenya and the other countries how to organize the transition, I think, of their life model to a new model, which means what do we do about sustainable urbanization? How do we supply local public goods like health, like infrastructure, like education in a totally changing environment? And I think that the Kenyan government has realized how challenging and big this task is, and that we have to start now in order to prepare the future.
So in Kenya, compared to several countries in Europe, you find our youth population is really, you know, big. Like we have, I think maybe 80%. I don't have the stats, but I know like the young people are more, and not just special to Kenya, but I think Africa at large. And so education then becomes a really big deal. And also, as we study, you know, we leave universities and there are no jobs. And your nation is working closely with our government in addressing that issue. Could you speak to that?
Yes, first of all, I think you're right. So the age structure of the African societies is totally different from what we have in Europe. I think the median age in Kenya is 19 years. In Germany, it's about 40-something. So there you see already a big difference. You have your population grows by 1.2 million, I think, every year. Germany is more or less stable, or some countries are going down also in Europe. So you see the whole dynamics is totally different. But I think that also gives a lot of opportunities and chances. What I feel here in Kenya is that the society is much more open to technological innovation, for example. So whatever is on the market, whatever is possible is done. Whereas in Germany, we have a lot of sometimes difficult discussions about innovations, about introductions of new ways of payment, for example.
Right.
I mean, the famous M-Pesa. Here, nobody questions this sort of system anymore. And I think that has very much to do with this general openness, open-mindedness, which comes with age also. Secondly, you are right. Germany is trying to help as much as possible in all the TVET structures in education. So to give the youth a good education, that they find good jobs here in Kenya. So we are building 7 centers of excellence for TVET in mechatronic, in hospitality, in engineering, in other parts. Also, we have a number of initiatives of the German hotels along the coasts that do their own educational programs. And I visited one of these initiatives in December, and I was really impressed. They have programs for plumbers, for carpenters, for electricians, and they do a 3-year program there. And all the young people that are finalizing this program are getting good jobs in the hotels. All of them.
Yeah.
They have practically a job guarantee. And I think that's the way we have to go. There is a lot of potential here in this country. And then thirdly, I think also with this difference in the age structure of the societies, we have also a possibility to cooperate closely together, because we need good people and you have good people. So why not make a win-win situation out of this? In Germany, we have a very interesting discussion right now about opening up our labor market for skilled immigration. This will happen because we need people. We need 250,000 to 400,000 people per year for jobs in nursery, in hospitality, in logistics, everywhere. So we really have a lack of skilled labor in some sectors. This is really the main point that companies can't grow any longer because they just don't have the people. And so a new immigration law, which will be a little bit modeled along the Canadian and Scandinavian laws, will be introduced very soon. And we are already in talks here with the Goethe Institute for the language skills, with the TVET institutions, with some of the universities, how we can also put Kenya on the spot to be one of the partners in this joint effort.
Wow. So it's an opposite problem. You need people, and we are brimming with people who need those jobs.
I would say it's really a chance to jointly tackle this challenge, because there's a certain complementarity between our societies. And what I see here is that it's a pool of highly ambitious, good skilled, very friendly, very open people, and it's a good chance. I also think that our society has to change in Germany. I mean, we are, as you know, very open also for refugees. We are one of the countries that is taking a number of refugees, first of all from the Arab world in 2015, 2016, and now about 1 million from Ukraine. But especially with the Ukrainian refugees, we don't know how long they will stay. It's all depends, of course, on the Russian war of aggression against this country. But I think we generally, first we have to change our law, and then also we have to change our mind and welcome good, skilled and motivated people.
Speaking to your day as an ambassador, what's that like when you wake up, say, on a Wednesday morning?
On a Wednesday morning? Oh, that's a good one. So normally my driver picks me up around 7:30. So then we go to the embassy. I try to read or skim read at least 2-3 newspapers. I'm also very much interested as an economist in the economic situation, so Business Daily, for example, but also the other newspapers, just to get an idea what's on. Then I arrive at the embassy at around a few minutes before 8 normally. I ask my secretary that she asks somebody to prepare coffee to get the machine running. Then I have approximately 1 hour to do some mails and some internal things. And normally at 9 o'clock we start on a Wednesday with some internal meetings. And then it's very interesting because you never know what happens. I mean, I have some appointments that are in my agenda, but you always have sort of unforeseen things, VIPs that are knocking at your doors because they need an information about Germany, or German companies that are coming because they want to invest, or Kenyan government representatives that want to see you to talk about a specific project. So very, very different things. We also have a number of consultations amongst EU ambassadors. So this is every 2 to 3 weeks, for example. We have also other like-minded groups. We have groups about development cooperation. So there's a number of things. And what I might like most really is also from time to time getting out of Nairobi. I love Nairobi, but I also love to go to the coast or to upcountry spots or to Kiambu, even if it's Kiambu or Thika, just to meet people there and see what we are doing there and how things move forward.
So we need to go to break, but not before I ask this question. Of course, we'll come back with more. So as an ambassador in Kenya and Somalia, and you're about to also get to get your, what do you call it?
Accreditation.
Yes, to Seychelles. So different countries in Africa obviously have ambassadors from your country. So do you compete in terms of, you know, you've done more for your nation in this country? Is there like some sense of healthy competition?
Well, there's a little bit of competition everywhere, probably in the TV sector as well.
Touche, okay, touche.
But there's also a lot of very good cooperation. For example, we had the regional ambassadors conference here in Kenya, so we hosted 8 or 10 of our colleagues from around the region, and we are looking for subjects and themes, cross-border challenges that we can also analyze and work on together, like the drought, like migration, like terrorist threats, like environmental challenges. These are all trans-border issues. So also we as embassies, we have to cooperate closely. But whenever there are humans together, of course, here and there might be a little bit of competition, which is healthy, which is not bad.
Yes. So you rank #1, yes?
So I don't know who's ranking this, but we are doing our best. We are trying our best.
You're very modest, sir. You're very modest, but that's okay. So we're going to take a very short commercial break, so we hydrate. And for you watching, we'll take a break very short. We come back with a more intriguing conversation with His Excellency Sebastian Groth, German's ambassador to Kenya, Somalia, and Seychelles. I am Catherine Mwangi. We're here at the residence of the ambassador of Germany to Kenya, His Excellency Sebastian Groth. His name is actually pronounced differently, but I'll stick to Groth.
Totally okay. Thank you very much.
But give me the pronunciation.
Groth.
It's okay. Let me stick to Groth. So thank you again for having this conversation with us. And I'm enlightened to know that our partnerships keep getting stronger, you know, between Germany and Kenya. So you first were here 20 years ago, but even then, there was some background to that. First, why did you choose diplomacy?
That's a good question. So it was not, let's say, my young boy's dream. I always was interested in politics. I remember that my mother used to watch parliamentary debates at home, still with our black-white TV set, and sometimes I just watched with her because I found it interesting, the discussions, probably without understanding all the context, but politics as such was always a subject also at our place in our family. I always was interested also in what's going on abroad. I'm an avid newspaper reader, and that also started very early, so probably with 12, 11, 13. I loved to learn what's happening in the Philippines, in Colombia, in Africa. But then I studied economics and sociology in Cologne and did 1 year in France. And this also opened up a little bit my eyes, because when you are abroad, you develop a new perspective on your own country, and you see how your country is seen, analyzed, and assessed also from the outside.
Yeah.
So I continued my studies in Cologne, and then it was more or less by accident that a friend of mine told me, oh, I applied for the Foreign Service, and I think the deadline is running out in 3 weeks. And I said, okay, I'll try my best also to do the same. I did it, and then I moved along all the assessment centers and the filtering of the candidates, and I was chosen. And in Germany, then you have approximately 1 year of diplomatic academy. That was in Bonn at this time still. Now it's moved to Berlin. And you meet a lot of very interesting people in your promotion, in your class, coming from very, very different backgrounds. Yeah, and then I remembered that the teacher came in, or our coordinator came in one day to distribute the first posts. And he just read the names according to the alphabet, and then it was Drought, Nairobi. And I said, okay, why not Nairobi? And I started to read and learn already a little bit of Kiswahili with a teacher in Bonn. It was also a choice of mine, because in one of in the discussions that we had with our coordinator, he asked, so what would you prefer as a first posting? And I told him, I'm interested in going to Africa. And I have to say, without any deeper knowledge about it, I've never been to Africa before. It was just a feeling, and also a little bit the cultural and the musical aspect, because for me rhythm is coming from Africa, jazz is coming from Africa. I also have a preference for the climate here, I have to admit. Compared to Siberia or Mongolia, I think this is much more my cup of tea here. I came on a Saba day, so 7th of July in 21. Touchdown at Nairobi airport, and the first impression that I had was the aroma in the air, really, and I liked it from the very beginning. And then the driver found me, and we drove through the very dark streets, because in Europe you have lamps everywhere, even during the night. And 20 years ago there was really less light also than today. And I remembered then some fires at the street sides and all the dukas, and there was a cigarette make that was called Embassy. And that was very funny, because I thought, oh, there are many embassies here in Nairobi.
So do you feel you made the right decision?
For the time being, yes, absolutely. I mean, as in every job, you have highs and lows, and probably moments where you ask yourself, shouldn't I do something else? But all in all, I really have to say I started in the year 2000 with the academy, so 23 years of diplomatic work, so to speak. I really had a lot of fun, a lot of interesting people, interesting situations, and I really liked the job.
Yeah. So you came here, worked for how many years back then? 3?
3 years, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then you went back.
I went back to Berlin.
So give us the journey of what you did during those years.
Yes. So it's not I would say a typical career, because I worked quite for a long time in Berlin at headquarters. So I went back and I went to a unit that is called Policy Planning Unit. That is a sort of strategic unit attached normally to the political leadership of the ministry. So you write mid to long-term strategy papers to give the foreign policy a framework, a wording, also a narrative. I was very much working on climate and energy and globalization issues at this time, first for the Minister Fischer, and then Minister Steinmeier. And when I was supposed to leave after 3 years, they asked me to stay on for another 3 years because we produced some texts and speeches for the minister. And if you have a team that works, you don't change it normally. Okay. So I extended my stay. And then after 6 years at this position, went to Paris, but not as a sort of normal diplomat, but as an exchange diplomat. I worked within the French government for 3 French prime ministers as an advisor on German-French relations and European politics, which was a very interesting period because we had a very serious euro crisis at this time, and the French and German positions were not always aligned, but we had to work a lot to find common ground at this time. And that was also fascinating to see my own country with the French eyes, because we had a number of delegations coming to Paris from Berlin, and I was part of the French delegation then, you know. And that was fascinating to see also how the French system prepares these sort of events, and also to help, to give some input, and then to also to evaluate and see how the Germans then act and react, and to see your own politicians, your own countries through the eyes of the French, partner, of the very close friend and partner. And I still have a number of friends from this time, because it was a very intense period for years. Then I came back to Berlin. Minister Steinmeier was nominated a second time, foreign minister, and I was then chief of staff of the 2 state secretaries at this time. Also 2 people that I learned a lot of, and that I really have to thank a lot for what they gave me in my professional development. One is now ambassador to Australia, and the other one will be nominated very soon to a very important European capital. So I did this for 2 years, and this is really one of the most, I would say, hectic and demanding jobs within the ministry, because you're not doing sort of diplomacy, you're doing management of the whole system. And then I was nominated Deputy Director Policy Planning, and then later on Director Policy Planning for Minister Maas, who was the foreign minister in the last grand coalition that we have, still with Chancellor Merkel. And then after the elections, I was still Director for Policy Planning for 3-4 months with Minister Baerbock, and then my successor came in and we made a handover, and I already had a green light for Nairobi, and so I could use some months also to prepare the new job here.
So having worked for such high-ranking officials, I mean Prime Minister level, both countries, what lessons did you get from them that are beneficial to you now in this high position?
So that's a very good question. First of all, I really have a lot of respect for these people, because they are under an enormous pressure, enormous pressure. And you, as one of the advisors, you're only one channel, you know, of information and of input, but they have to manage so many different things that you can only say chapeau l'artiste, as you say in French. So it's really a challenge. Secondly, I think what is important is that you define priorities, meaning that you can't do everything. It's not possible, and you have from the very beginning try to define, okay, these are the 2-3 things where I would like to make a difference.
Right.
And the third thing is, I think, but this is generally, that's not only in the realm of politics, but to remain human, because I think that I mean, with power, sometimes at least you get the feeling that you are that the power is without limits, but it's not without limits, and you always come back to the normal level of life somehow. And so I met a lot of politicians also, where I say they kept their human touch, and this is very important. And I'm still in contact with some of them. And who am I? I mean, but they are just nice people, and we had a good and interesting time together. So and I think that's also very important.
Yeah. You raised some really good points there, like keeping the main thing, and not to get distracted with anything else, and remembering again why you're there, and remaining grounded, you know, just remembering that you're human, because power can also be very addictive. So you now here, you're in charge of the mission. Okay, you're like now the CEO of this organization that's taking care of 3 countries and 2 organizational bodies. How do you apply those lessons with your team here?
First of all, I have to say it's a fantastic team. So we really working very well together, and we have totally different tasks and departments within the embassy. We are about 80 people, 40 from Kenya, 40 from Germany, in all the different branches: politics, economics, development, cooperation, culture, press, consular. But I must say that my feeling is that really it's a sense of team spirit amongst ourselves, and I try also to live this. It's a little bit the CEO also, so you are there to decide. That's also what I learned in this job. Of course, I had to take decisions also in Berlin, but now it's in Berlin I was always part of a hierarchy in a very big institution. I mean, we have 2,500 people working in the headquarters in Berlin, and I was one small figure in this institution. And of course, that changes if you come abroad to a mission, and then you are on top. So this is really about decision making, about setting the priorities right, juggling sometimes also, improvising sometimes also sometimes criticizing, giving feedback in both directions. I think this is important. But all in all, having a good and cooperative spirit.
Yeah, I see. What are the dark seasons like? Like you said earlier on, like at times you're like, should I really be doing this? You know, is there something else for me to do? Do you have those, you know, moments where you doubt?
No, I must say what is important for me personally is also to have a certain balance between me as an official figure and also having time for myself and my family and reading and music. And so, and that's because you asked about politicians. I think being a politician and then being basically 24 hours a politician and not a private person anymore is not very attractive for me. So I need really these times to reflect and to calm down. And I noticed asking myself that if this quality time for myself or my inner circle, so to speak, if I don't have enough of that, my inner balance gets out of balance, and then I have to change things. I have to reduce here and there a little bit, but I think that's only normal.
Yeah, you need your own space so that you recharge and you're able to go perform.
Definitely.
So how do you recharge? I know about the music. You've talked about going out of Nairobi. We were here the other day for a jazz event where you were playing, you know, full maestro, complete. I saw you in your, I saw the limelight on you. Like you went in and you didn't look up until your set was done. You know, that was awesome.
Thank you.
So how else do you recharge besides music?
I'm doing also a lot of sports here, and I must say it's such a fantastic environment. It's just so easygoing. I mean, on the grounds of the German school, we have 2 tennis courts, for example, with a fantastic tennis trainer from Rwanda who's also becoming a friend. He's training also one of our sons. And on the grounds of the UN compound, you have a gym, you can go swimming, again with a swimming trainer from Kenya. And that was a plan, a resolution for me for years. To learn freestyle swimming because I can swim, of course, but I'm a technically very bad swimmer. And this year I managed to take a lesson here and there on Sunday morning, and it's really, I wouldn't say it's getting really better, but a little better, you know. And I survive a lane now, and that's so fantastic because also of the weather in Germany. You can do it, of course, indoors. But not all the time outside. No, and I like also traveling to the coast or to the parks, of course. But I also like relaxing in the garden and reading and also talking to friends on the phone.
Okay, and I saw you're now rearing chicken.
Yes, exactly. So you're following the Twitter account, it's a challenge because you have to protect them. Otherwise, the birds come or other animals come. But it's very nice. We have 5 big ones and now 5 very small ones. Yeah.
So diplomat, jazz artist, chicken farmer.
Yeah, chicken farmer, and you know, chicken farmer can lead to a big, important career.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? So you spoke about your son. So tell us about your family. What can you tell us about your family?
Yeah, so I arrived with my wife and 2 sons, 12 and 14. So they are going to the German school here. They are also enjoying it very much. For them also Africa was just a concept, so to speak, a very abstract thing. But I would say from the very beginning, when we arrived here on the 1st of August, they liked it very much had a good time. They're going to the German school. They are also doing a lot of sports and found friends and like the garden and the animals. My wife is an environmental lawyer. She worked also as a civil servant in Germany, but now she's on leave. But we will see how things develop here if we find opportunities for her. But I think for now she's also quite happy in just managing everything at home and having also a good time.
Yeah. So you recently turned 50.
Yeah.
A night ago.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So when we first met, you showed me your driver's license, and I said you look like a young Prince Harry. So we have to show the viewers that photo. But so that you actually are redhead. You had red hair, you know.
A little bit.
Right.
Yeah. I think we need another hour to discuss this. You know, there is this thing called midlife crisis, and I think that's not with 50. That's more with 40, 45. And I read some texts about the research on happiness. And with men, there's really an interesting phenomenon because the deepest point of happiness normally is around 45. So they are coming from a very high level of happiness, but then around 43, 44, 45 is going down badly.
So they're unhappy.
They are unhappy around 45. But then the good thing is after 45 it's going up again. And I think I'm at this stage now and trying to work on it, but you can't change it.
Yeah. So you're very happy right now.
I'm very happy right now with all human ups and lows that everybody has, but it's okay.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Okay, so quick fire questions for you.
No, it gets dangerous.
No. Favorite Kenyan food?
Seafood from the coast.
Seafood is international.
No, but I mean the coconut rice and the lobster or the grilled. What did I had? White snapper.
Your Excellency, I want to hear either ugali, sukuma wiki, madondo.
Ugali, I think there we have to go in a training camp first. Sukuma wiki is okay.
Spinach?
I like mpichi very much.
What's that?
Spinach is
yes.
Yeah. I like very much. But I like I like all the fruits and vegetables very much. But I like nyama choma. I like the tilapia. I like kienyeji. I like all the other things that you offer. This how is this called? This the salad tomato with onions.
Kachumbari.
Kachumbari. So yeah, this is all very fine. Yeah. But ugali, we have to work on it.
We have to work on it.
Honestly, yeah.
Okay, beach life or mountain life?
I'm more the coast sort of guy. I also like hiking, like the nature very much. But if you would offer me now, probably you do it later. You can choose 1 week of Watamu or 1 week of Samburu.
Or Mount Kenya.
Or Mount Kenya. I think I would go for Watamu.
You're joking.
No, I'm not joking. No. Or we split as a diplomat, we would split the week, but we make 4 days in Watamu and 3 days in Mount Kenya.
I see.
Okay.
So the next one, winter or summer, is definitely summer.
Summer, definitely.
Can you dance?
Very badly, and especially if I see the Kenyans, I have to say it's I don't know how they move or how they manage to move, but it's so amazing. And if we then see I can only speak for myself, then I really probably take a beer somewhere else and don't dance.
I see. So we are saying goodbye now to the audience. So what would a student studying international relations do before they're placed anywhere? Like, what would your advice be? How do they keep busy?
Oh, I think following international politics is the basis. So reading good newspapers, following good news sites on the internet, following the international developments. There are so many things that you can get online from the US and European think tanks, for example, but also Asian, African think tanks, if you're really interested into that. I would also say foreign languages is quite important. So, of course, English is the basis, but learning French, German, Chinese, Mandarin, whatsoever, Arabic helps of course a lot. And then I know it's a question of resources and visa politics also, but traveling in your direct neighborhood to understand what's going on there. So this should be feasible also for Kenyans. But then if there's any possibility to go to Europe, go to Asia, go to Latin America, seize this opportunity and see what's going on, how politics, society, culture is done there. It's always slightly different, always interesting, and it's the basis also to understand I think in which direction we all move now. And there's a lot of movement geopolitically, a lot of change, and then come back and help Kenya, help your country to seize the opportunity and make a good development.
Yeah, that's some really good advice, yeah. So because as you do all of that, something somewhere will just, come through for you.
I think so, yeah, because you meet different people.
Yeah.
You probably have the opportunity to make an internship in an international organization. Networking is extremely important. Learning things about institutions, how they work, how politics work. I did an internship when I was younger in the German parliament, but also in the European parliament, in several banks, also in the private sector. So I mixed a little bit my experiences, and I think that helped a lot then also in taking the decision for foreign policy and prepared also myself to do this job.
What are you hoping your 50s will be?
I wish to stay healthy, that my family stays healthy. Also, I mean, for our boys, it's now not decisive, but a very important period. So they will sooner or later finish school and then make some decisions about what they're doing next. Also, then new postings after Kenya will arise, so I will discover new areas in the world. I hope that my father, who's 81-year-old now, still has some good years back in Germany, and also the rest of my family. I have the firm resolution to do a lot of sports and also work hard here for Kenyan-German relations and all in my other capacities.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a really exciting season for you. So we are saying goodbye. This is your camera. I want you to say goodbye in Swahili.
Okay, asante sana. Kwaheri na tutaonana hivi karibuni. Asante kwa interview na kwaheri.
Well, Your Excellency, I am grateful that you made the time
to
speak with us today. It was good to know about the man, your family, the mandate here that you represent, and we can only wish you real good success, even as you're now starting a new journey, 50 plus. I keep going back to 50. I should stop.
It seems fascinating for you.
I'm not too far behind, by the way. I'm not too far behind, maybe 6 more years. But thank you for making the time.
Thank you very much for coming over, and all the best for you.
Thank you. To you watching, thank you so much for making the time tonight. Our conversation with Ambassador Sebastian Groth, he from Germany, representing Germany in Kenya, Somalia, and Seychelles, also the UNEP and UN Habitat. If you have any questions, German Embassy, I think is on Twitter, yes?
Yes.
It's Germany Nairobi.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes, so Germany Nairobi on Twitter, and I think on Facebook as well.
Absolutely.
You're also on Twitter as Diplo Jazz.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, where we get to know all these things I know are from his Twitter page, by the way. From me and the team here, we are grateful again that you watched. The show is up on YouTube now, and we'll repeat this coming Saturday at 6 p.m. Thanks for watching, and God bless you.